Hi, we're here from AmericanElgin.com, and today we're going to be introducing the Elgin automatic watches. These were made by Elgin National Watch Company, which was operating in Elgin, Illinois from about the end of the Civil War, the 1860s, until the 1960s when it stopped making watches in the US. And Elgin was the only American company that designed and made automatic watches in the United States. Automatic watch means a watch that you put on your wrist and wear and walk around, and it winds itself. You don't need to use this little knob here on the right to wind it as people normally do. The watch you're looking at right now is for the first generation of Elgin watches. These had an 18 joule movement. Joule refers to working jewels, which are like essentially little typically synthetic sapphire crystals, which operate in the same fashion as ball bearings. Basically what they do is they help the watch run more efficiently. They reduce wear on the other metal and mechanical parts, and they make the watch, allow you to have the watch be very, very precise. The jewels does not refer to like an ornamental jewel, like you might have like a ring or earrings or something. Elgin, so this particular version, the generation 1, these ran the 607 and 618 caliber watch movements. And there was a prior 605 caliber prototype. These, again, as mentioned, these were 18 joules. These were called a bumper automatic. And we have a little drawing here. I don't have a movement to show you, but I'll show you a little drawing down here. If you ever played any kind of board games, I think Trivial Pursuit is the game where you have a little pie. Well, this is the way this operates is, if you were to look at the back of the watch, you would take it apart, you would see a little pie-shaped kind of, it was like a triangle, but more like a pie-shaped. And this swings back and forth between bumpers, which are literally bumpers like springs. And in that process, it winds the watch. That's why it's called a bumper automatic, because it makes like a little thud when it hits the bumpers back and forth. And that is the method for winding automatic watches. It's a bit of an older method, and Elgin only made this watch for a couple years, around 1950. They made around 40,000 of them. Not a huge production run because the technology was becoming a bit obsolete. It's not the most efficient way to wind the watch because you need a lot of bouncing back and forth to get the watch properly wound. But nonetheless, these are very attractive watches. This is just a very nice example. You can see the dial looks like it's different colors, but in fact, it's an optical illusion created by polishing the dial in two different directions. So the 9 and the 3 go in sort of the direction, like sort of a left to right direction. And if we rotate it over, we can see the 6 and 12 also have polishing in the direction of the numbers. So this sort of cross polishing of the dial is what creates this effect, which you otherwise might think is a different color. Oh, here it looks gray and white. No, it's not. It's actually the exact same color, just polished in two different ways. So this is the first generation, and I'll just move this watch to the side, and we can talk now about the second generation of these watches, which is this website is, or this YouTube page is more devoted to. So the second generation of these watches involved two different lines, and we'll show you these first. So this is an example of the Elgin 27 joule, and there's another example of the Elgin 27 joule, and yet a third example of that. And so a bit of information about these. The Elgin 27 joule the movement was caliber 761. We're not sure how many were made of those, and they were marketed under the Elgin name, so not Lord Elgin, but Elgin. And these examples here, these all have 27 joules. This is the submodel D. Very, very attractive, beautiful case, just gorgeous. This is the original metal band that it came with. This is the A model in a very, very attractive stainless steel case. Very, very nice. Made by Star Watch Case Company out of Michigan. Back in that time, watchmakers like Elgin and also other companies like Omega, they made the insides of the watch, so the watch movement, all the gears and everything else. And they then acquired cases, the metal case, so this thing here, plus the lugs here and the little metal bezel in the front. And they put everything in there and sealed it up, but the watch case actually was made by a different company, and that was very normal for this time period. And then this here is an E model. This is a solid gold, the gorgeous black dial, very, very attractive, made by John L. Watch Case Company out of Michigan, or sorry, out of New York, solid 10 karat gold case. And we'll show you just very briefly what the movement looks like. So we talk about the movement, so the innards of the watch. So this is from a different 27 jewel watch. Unfortunately, it was apparently from a damaged case, but we can see what this looks like. So, of course, it says Elgin here, and this watch, what makes it different than the first generation of these watches is this is called a full rotor automatic. So this half circle where it says Elgin and the bar across it, this spins in a 360-degree rotation, and this is a very efficient way to wind the watch. This is the modern way that most of these watches, automatic watches, even today, are made. And Elgin was the only American company, of course, that ever had an in-house, American designed and made automatic movement of any kind, or including this type of movement. You can see it's a 761 27 joules USA adjusted. Adjusted means there are places to adjust this movement to make it more precise for things like temperature and so on. So the watch is running fast or slow, there's different places to correct that so that it runs very precisely. So that is the 27 joule so-called 761 caliber line, and these are just the two of those three examples that we showed you. And there are videos on each one of these. We'll take a look at those. If you go on the page, you'll find examples of all those things. Now, the next watches we're going to look at are the other half of this second generation, also made between 1959 and 1963, and these are the 760 movement, which was even had a higher joule count. And these are the very, very top of the line of the Lord Elgin watches. And Lord Elgin was the top brand of the Elgin National Watch Company. So most watches were sold under the Elgin name. The really high-end watches, the even more expensive ones, were sold under the Elgin name, or sorry, the Lord Elgin name. And they had a 30 joule movement, which had an even higher joule count than the previous ones we saw. And I'll just show you briefly an example of what this looks like. This particular movement, let's move it, put it up here. You see 760, 30 joules USA, 6 adjustments. It's a lot of places to adjust the watch to make sure it runs properly. And of course, there's Elgin here. Full rotor automatic, spins all the way around and winds the watch while you wear it or walk around, so you don't need to wind it manually using this crown here. We could talk just for a moment about this movement. This watch movement is not very well known, and I'm going to read you some quotes from one of the world's leading watch experts. And I will also say that this watch, this 760 30 joule automatic movement, it had the highest joule count of any Elgin watch ever made in the century of Elgin's existence as a company making watches in the U.S. In addition to that, this movement is considered chronometer quality. So chronometer means that the movement is designed to be extremely precise. So designed to be precise within a permissible deviation of running fast or slow, maybe a couple seconds a day at most. So it's a very, very precise watch. It's all mechanical, of course. There's no battery or quartz crystal or anything in it. This is all gears running it. And that determination that it's chronometer quality is, you'll find, for example, in the Ranft database. And these are quotes from Dr. Roland Ranft, who passed away a couple years ago, but he ran the Ranft.org database, which was the world's leading, most comprehensive watch movement database. And he apparently also owned one of these watches. He was quite a big fan of these. And I'll read you a couple things he wrote. He talked about the movements here for the 27 and 30 joule. He said they collected the best design features available at the time, and he gives examples. And then he talks about how the watch uses a more sophisticated approach for regulation of time accuracy than the humble designs from Patek Philippe or Rolex. And when we talk about time accuracy, we're talking about the adjustments here. So the 760 movement has 6 adjustments, and it is, according to Dr. Ranft, that's a more sophisticated approach even than he saw from Patek Philippe and Rolex. He also mentioned in another, and these are quotes from him. He was registered user on different watch forums. One of those quotes is from the Watch You Seek forum in 2009, and the other is from the NAWCC forum in 2012. He then kind of summarized, and this is from the Watch You Seek forum 2009, where he posted this. He said, "The Elgins belong to the most interesting automatic movements, from my opinion. They simply have the best relation between precision and durability on the one hand and low production effort on the other. Moreover, the balanced assembly, integrated free-sprung hairspring, easy adjustability, and shock resistance is still unique and outstandingly efficient design." So Dr. Ranft loved this designer. I certainly think he liked it a lot, given what he said about it. And when he talks about low production effort, what he's talking about is efficiency. So these watches were designed to be more compact, thinner. That's why they're called the thin line or thin. And Elgin tried to squeeze out unnecessary parts to make this thing more efficient, run more efficiently, and be less unnecessarily complex. And that's why Dr. Ranft, who was by the way, was a German watch scholar and expert. He was not an American, so he's not speaking from some kind of pro-American bias. He's a fairly objective observer, I think anyone would conclude. So this is what he said about these watches. We'll just go back and look at a couple of these beauties. So these are the, again, these are from this second generation. These are the 30 jewel Lord Elgin automatic self-winding watches. And on the left, you see the first one is the A model. And this is got this gorgeous black dial. The second two actually don't have a letter name associated with the model. So typically often there was a letter name like Model A, Model B, Model C. These watches just have the case number. And the one in the center, we have a video on this calling this the king of the 30 jewel Lord Elgins, because this is just a 35 millimeter diameter, like heavy, solid 14 karat gold case. I mean, this is just a hell of an impressive watch. When new, it cost more than many Rolexes, and it's very rare, as is the one next to it, which has an even more artistic design and these very interesting hooded lugs with the Florentine finish, also solid 14 karat gold. This is really a line of watches which is unknown to most collectors, even most American watch collectors, who typically associate Elgin with things like pocket watches and tank case, kind of rectangular square shape cased wrist watches. And these watches from the very kind of final days of American watchmaking are really, really pretty incredible. And not only these automatics, but there are also other watches that Elgin made in this time period that are pretty incredible. But at the moment, we're focusing on the videos of these watches. And if you'd like to check more of them out, please check out the YouTube page. We have videos covering all the watch lines that we know about, at least the ones that are more interesting and we have more information on. And check out the website also, AmericanElgin.com, and on Instagram, American Elgin. Thank you.